for whatever reason the IRS decides it's going to audit somebody, what's the beginning? What's the first step they take?
Well, the first thing that a taxpayer will get is a letter. So the IRS will not contact somebody by phone or email. It's a letter.
We tell people that all the time. No, the IRS is not calling you to pay your tax bill with your ATM card. No, they don't do that.
And because the IRS contacts taxpayers by letter, it's very important that taxpayers keep the IRS aware of your address. Yeah, because if you change addresses and the IRS doesn't know, then the letter it will go to your old address and it may be forwarded to your new address. Now, if it's not forwarded to your new address for some reason, it's up to you.
That's your problem.
Not the IRS. Yeah, it's your problem. So you've got to make sure that you keep up with the current information to the IRS. Now, the IRS will track your address changes based on the return filed. But let's say you file a return in April of the year, but in May, you change addresses. So for the period after you change your address until you file a new return, the IRS doesn't have.
They don't know where you are. Yeah.
So you need to let the IRS know and say, I've moved and I have a change of address. Let them know. And as low as the risk of audit is, you don't want any information, let's say an audit notice, to go by the wayside. Because that can create problems. So one advice is always keep the IRS alert and informed of your current address, because the correspondence letter will go to your address on record.
The address that they know about. That's very interesting. And I'm just going to tell you, it has never occurred to me to do that. I'm an adult. I've moved many times in my life and I've never written a letter to the IRS saying, hey, I moved.
So there's a form, and the IRS has thousands of forms. If you just go to the web and hit IRS change of address form, the form will come up. You complete it. It's a very simple form, and then you file it. Real easy.
Okay. So that is worth the cost of this podcast right there.
There have been so many taxpayers who've come to us and said, well, I don't know what happened. The IRS is starting to collect. I never got a notice. And then the question then I'll ask is, have you changed your address? When's the last time you filed a return, and so on? And then they say, oh, I don't know about change of address forms and so on. And you can, and I have, when I've changed addresses, alerted the Postal Service.
Yeah.
I've got to change address, but you've got to let the IRS know.
Yeah. Those two departments don't talk to each other.
No, you rely on one to help with the other. No, you've got to, it's too important. So you've got to let the IRS know.
That is an important one. Okay. Good advice. Okay. So they start by sending out a letter. And what is this letter going to say?
You've been selected for audit. It'll tell you the year that you've been selected. So it could be 1 year, it could be multiple years. And then it'll tell the taxpayer next steps. We'd like to schedule a meeting. We'd like you at the meeting to provide the following information. And that request for information may expand, or it may be limited to just that. And it'll also in that letter say, we'd like to meet at a certain date, so you can suggest another date that fits your schedule. And it'll also alert you to whether you'd like to have a representative serve as your point of contact for the IRS. So some taxpayers say, well, I don't want to deal with the IRS. It's too stressful, or I'm ill-equipped to do it on my own. I want somebody to represent me. So the letter will say, if you'd like, you can do that. Select one and let us know. And the form, and of course, the IRS has more forms than you can imagine. There's a form for that, and that's Form 2848. You designate someone to serve as your power of attorney, your representative, and a taxpayer doesn't need to show up for the audit, which a lot of taxpayers select. And probably that's a good thing, because I've had on the IRS side, I've had instances where a taxpayer doesn't quite know what to say and what not to say. And sometimes what they shouldn't say gets out, and it's very difficult to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right.
So you've got to be very careful about that. So you probably want to take the lead from the letter, which invites you to have a power of attorney, some representative, represent you in the audit, and then you can do that. And then you meet on the selected date with the information that's limited at that point to a certain categories, and then you proceed with the correspondence or the meeting.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review, And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.